Hello, and welcome to Clea's World. This is Clea Annecchiarico, and today I would like to speak about some celebrities, spiritual gurus. Now, before we move forward into the content of this video, I would like to ask you to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel so that I may reach more people. That helps with the algorithm, and I would be very grateful. But also absolutely please add a comment below this video to let me know how this resonates with you, because I'm really curious to see where everyone's at. All right, so let's get back to these celebrities, spiritual gurus. I have several friends who recently have asked me about this one specific, and I'm not going to name any names in this video because what matters is not the person, what matters is the concept. But they've been asking me about this specific person, the specific celebrity who appears to have moved into the light because he seems to make sense. He talks about a lot of things that we consider awake, and he has a huge following. Of course, he's a celebrity. So it makes sense that he would have the platform to attract a lot of people, and that's fine. This is marketing at the end of the day. So that's fine, this person, but the problem is that this person, or these, actually had two different girls ask me about this. These two friends, they asked me because they had a bad feeling about this person. They said, you know, what he says is fine, but there's something about him. Now, at the same time as these girls asked me about him and said this, that they felt strange about him, I had a guy friend ask me about this person, and he was actually telling me, you know, this guy makes a lot of sense. And when I heard who the person was, I said, oh, I would not be listening to this person. And I would like today to make this video to explain where I'm coming from when I refer to certain people who may sound great on the surface, but not everything is not as it seems. Why does this matter? And I'm seeing that there might be a delay. I know my internet has been having issues, so if you see a bit of a delay in the video between my words, between the sound and the video, I apologize. I'm not quite sure what to do about the internet. I live in a big city or biggish city, and sometimes the internet is not great. All right, so what I told my friends, and I told this guy friend as well, is that I have a problem with celebrities turned gurus. First of all, I have a problem with the word guru in general, because it establishes kind of a hierarchy between the person speaking and the person listening, as if the person speaking somehow holds the truth in their pocket and they're the only ones who have access to it, and they're dispersing this truth to the masses who are somehow in an inferior position to them. This is not what this is about. Just because somebody has a platform and he's speaking and distributing a message, putting a message out there, doesn't mean they're any better than anyone else. But let's forget for a moment about the word guru, and let's just talk about the fact that celebrities, what, in my experience, from my observation, even without going into the rabbit hole of what we've discovered recently, we've heard that a lot of celebrities have sold their soul to the devil to become famous, which is problematic per se. Let's just assume that there are normal people like you and me who became celebrities. Now, can it happen that a person does amazing work and they become really famous? Yes, it can. However, knowing what we know about how things work in the real world, especially in places like Hollywood, you can already imagine that you have to make some huge compromises. And the people who will succeed at that kind of game are people who have this drive inside of them where they're willing to do many things that you and I might not be willing to do to get to that point. So a lot of celebrities, it's almost like they carry this need, this strong desire inside of them to be seen, because they have issues where if they don't achieve fame, they don't feel valuable. This is something that I refer to in my first book, Untamed and Free, as well, I've always had this impression that people in that world are not necessarily emotionally healthy. We'll just leave it at that. I'm generalizing. Obviously, I realize there are many people in that world who seem like perfectly good people, normal people. To them, this is a job, something that they love to do, and that's wonderful. But I'm talking about the world of celebrities in general. Keep in mind that the word celebrity means the person is famous for being famous. They may have not added any actual value to the world. It's just that you've seen them in something, they've done something, they might not even have any talent. And we've seen this repeated over and over. All right. And again, I'm not going to name any names because you probably know several celebrities who have become famous, who knows why. Okay. So I already have that problem with celebrities becoming these spiritual guides. I've also seen celebrities who take themselves so seriously in this newfound leadership role when it comes to spirituality that I've seen one who grew his hair, grew a beard, and had a white tunic on, and he had followers behind him as if he had disciples. In other words, he actually really took it to the next level, and now he's trying to imitate, let's just say, I won't even say, he's trying to imitate somebody who was a lot better than him. So the point is this, already given this setup, and I see this happening across the gamut of celebrities who have tried to reinvent themselves and found this new version of themselves that actually allows them to gather attention from a lot of people, that I don't see this as being very authentic. I have heard their message, the message they're trying to spread, from other people who actually come from a different place and are not so enthralled with their own voice and image and so on. And they're just putting it out there as a service to humanity. And I've learned a lot more from these other people. So now, if these celebrities were spreading some amazingly new depths of thought and spirituality, that would be wonderful. I just haven't seen that myself. Now, before you think I just have a problem with these celebrities, here's why this matters, okay? Because otherwise it wouldn't really matter. It's my choice not to follow certain people, just like all of us, the rest of us has preferences in who we follow. No big deal. Nobody cares, right? We don't have all the time in the world to listen to everybody. So we're gonna make choices. Here is the problem, is that when we go outside of ourselves, which is what we do every time we're listening to someone else, okay? Even right now, as you're listening to me, as you're watching this video, you are in a way opening yourself up and you're going outside of yourself to gather information. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that when the intention of the person transferring the information is not positive, you are going to be affected by it. Everything a person says could be absolutely 100% legit, and still the intention behind it might be negative. This is where discernment is required of the watcher, the listener, of you. Because a lot of people, you probably heard of this, they speak about controlled opposition. In other words, they're saying that the dark has put these people in the public eye so that these people can sabotage followers that are ready to open up to spirituality, open up to higher knowledge, higher frequency, and so on, but they get tripped up by now being co-opted by these people who are controlled opposition. And the way that I've heard this, the speculation and the way that this works is that these gurus, these celebrities might put out, say, 95% of information that totally makes sense, is totally legit. And then they might do, say, a 5% that's corrupt, that you don't realize is corrupt, is slipping in there, and it's affecting you, it's giving you the wrong way of thinking about the world, et cetera, et cetera. The truth is that this is much, much more subtle and much sneakier than this. These people, this controlled opposition, if we want to stick with that nomenclature, these people are putting out messages that could be word for word what Jesus said. Because it's not what a person says that transfers the energy. The energy is transferred from the person putting out the information. I want to repeat this. It is the energy comes from the intention of the person putting out a message. I might tell you something that is completely makes sense to you, but if my intention is to hurt you and to mislead you, this is what you will pick up, and this is what is going to get to you. You might like what I say, but this will not be for your highest and greatest good. This is why it's so important that we discern and we pay attention to how we feel after these messages, after interacting with these people. Because believe it or not, even as you're watching a video or listening to a song, you are interacting with these people. There is a reason why concerts and movies are or have been controlled for the most part, for the majority of time, by the dark. Is because it's an easy way to enthrall people. When you are outside of yourself, open to suggestions, you're suggestible, then they can make these, they can bypass your cognitive, your conscious mind and get through your unconscious mind. So for example, a lot of people think the television is negative because of what they show. Absolutely, there are negative messages in the television. We all know this. But it's much more subtle than that, and it's much more dangerous because of that reason. What they do is they have frequencies that are put into their movies and everything that you see on television that actually bypasses your self-defenses. And that's what they really do. And I'll give you an interesting tidbit that I learned about not too long ago. I read somewhere that even in PORN movies, I can't spell it, I can't say it fully because there's a lot of censorship going on. I don't want this video to be flagged. But even in that type of movies, we think they're bad enough as they are. But what I read is that they actually do SATANIC rituals before they make these movies when they're on set. Imagine if something already that negative, in a negative way that we can see like at face value, we could just look at it and know that it's negative. If they need to actually incorporate this even more evil energy into it, imagine how powerful this is. Keep in mind that while we've been told that a lot of these things are not real, we've always been taught that, science, 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 there's nothing else, etc., etc. The dark has always believed. The dark is much more spiritual than a lot of us are, because they know all the information, all the knowledge that's been removed from from the public, from public availability, all the books that have been burned. They have access to those. They've always kept them. They still have them, hopefully all of them. So at some point, maybe we get to see them too. They are aware of what is going on, and they know that energy comes before anything else. And this is speaks a bit to the situation we find ourselves in general, where we have been taught to listen to words before trusting our own gut, our own intuition about things. Everybody can come up with a wonderful story about what they've done something, sometimes something that at first instant you're like, well, that's wrong. But then they'll have this beautiful story to justify themselves. And we've been taught to give credence to the story as opposed to how we feel about the story, how we felt when we first encountered. We do this without even thinking about it, without even realizing most of the time. So I'll give you like a really awful example from Italy that has left a mark on me, because I read of this many decades ago. Well, not that many. I'm not like 100 years old or anything, but decades ago. So I was a teenager, and it still stayed with me because it was just so wrong. I read about this man who killed this other man who had taken, I'm trying to remember the details, but it was this man who was on trial for killing another man, and he was actually excused because he was redressing he was taking revenge on this man because this man had dishonored him by raping his daughter. Now, here's the thing. Nobody cared about what had happened to this. Oh, I am sorry. Actually, this man had raped somebody's daughter, but he was justified in doing so because this other man, the father of the daughter, had done something to him. I mean, this is how wrong this is. Now, you might think, oh yeah, Italy is totally backwards. We really don't realize how backwards we are, because I have to tell you, I come from the north of Italy and I look at these stories and think this is craziness. But some people call this culture. When we listen to these stories and think of other countries, we think, oh, it must be their culture. No, it's not culture. Your first instinct, which is this is wrong and it's ugly, that is correct. The rest, we will try to make it sound like, oh, you know, we need to understand. There's nothing to understand. The whole point, the reason I brought this up is because this is what we've been trained to do. We've been trained to not call out situations. I'm not saying judge people, because people make mistakes. People don't know any better. Sometimes we do the best we can with what we know at the time. However, we are supposed to use our critical thinking, and we are supposed to listen to our intuition. When something tells us that something is wrong, it is wrong. No amount of explanation or massaging of reality is going to make a difference. And I hope that this kind of explains why it is so important to discern who we listen to, who we pay attention to. It does affect us. We have to be very careful with who we give our attention to and the stories we allow ourselves to be influenced by. And beyond the stories, what the intention is. You sometimes can tell the intention from the story. If it's a negative story, you kind of already know there's probably no light in there, not much light in there. But sometimes it's much more subtle than that. And it is the light that it might appear as if it's a message from the light, but when you go inside, you might feel a little bit strange about it. Listen to that nudge. Have faith in yourself. We are all getting the guidance. It's just that many of us, most of us, and most of the time, we don't recognize it, or we doubt ourselves. It is very important to know we all have connection. We are all connected. We're all tapped in. The difference is that some people reject that. They have resistance. They think, why would I have connection to source? Why would I know these other things? All I have is this 3D. I'm nobody. Let me listen to somebody else. It is okay to listen to other people. There's nothing wrong with that. But always go back inside and see how you feel, because your emotions are an infallible GPS for the truth of things for you. All right, so I hope this video was helpful. And if you liked it, please like, comment, share it, and also please subscribe to my channel, because that helps me and helps me put out more videos. And I want to thank you, and I'll see you soon in my next video. Bye-bye.